coming in and having this conversation with us.
I appreciate it.
I'm about to close this one out because I gotta make arrangements for this next one.
Okay. Well, I hope I get to catch you. Maybe since I caught you this time, I'll get a chance to catch you another time, brother. So stay on the top line. You know, one love to you and all those who are listening and is on this love vibration. And peace, guidance, and protection.
Okay, sweetie.
All
All right.
right.
I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
Today is 11/18, flips 9/11 on the 8/11 time, flips 88, the seated queen. We about to get into general discussion. I don't really have itinerary for today, but tomorrow, I got young elder, and I don't know how he wanted to do this, but I got a video and some clips for receipts I want to drop to get the people to understand how this slave narrative rolled out and how they was hiding behind the pale face. So I got a slave instructional video on how to control the ones on the plantation. So it's a couple things, like the plantation was, when they invaded, Big Mama had farm. Big Mama and Big Papa always had the farm. We go do our life, whatever we do, come back to Big Mama house for holidays, family functions, major events. And a lot of the elders who didn't live in the city, we lived in Big Mama house. Well, they told us the slaves was being kept by the people that lived in the big house. The big house, take Mama name out of it. It's right there in our face. Remember, everything is to usurp, undermine, devalue, manipulate, to monopolize the rightful heirs to the land. So as long as you don't know you from the land, you can't assert your birthright to the land. And if there's only two ways in law where you can lose what's rightfully yours, there's one is by surrender, and the second one is by forfeiture. The only way you can forfeit is you have to fail to claim at the appropriate time your rightful inheritance. And when the time closes, if you haven't claimed your rightful inheritance, then you forfeit. It's like you got a basketball game and y'all got 4 players. You got to have 5 players to start the game, and then right before game time, nobody shows up. So you have to forfeit the game because you don't have the 5 players to start. It's the same principle. The surrender is normally the byproduct of a war. Is when somebody beating you so bad, and just like saying uncle, it's like tapping out. But in this particular situation, we had over 5,000 tribes easy. That's just in North America. We're not even talking about the ones that came from South America, the Tonga Islands. We're not talking about the one came from the Samoa. We're not talking about the ones came from New Zealand. We not come to New Guinea. We're not talking about the ones that came from Australia to fight in the Gullah Wars, because they came from fucking everywhere. That's why they keep calling us Seminole, those mixed ones, the mixed. See, Seminole root word is semi, which means half. And if you look in the 3 monotheistic religions, the ones they call Hebrews are referred to as Semites. That means that somewhere along the way they mixed with something, they only part of the whole. This takes us back to the Prussian mountains and the Khazarians, who were the mulatto offspring of the Blackamoors. And so they don't just throw their children out, they left them in charge of as accountants over the banks. So they illegitimate children has a legitimate profile in the family lineage of the royal hierarchy, which gives them the right to handle the money for the tutors, the black nobility, the unseen hand, the hidden hand, the black hand, the Amun priests, the ones who don't want to be seen by the public, so y'all don't rebel against them and beat they bitch asses and take your shit back. So they structure this system to make us believe it's about skin tone. When you go to the Black's Law Dictionary and you look up free white persons in law, not only do it tell you they Moors, but it tell you they not Caucasians. It's absolutely not a Caucasian, Norseman. It's not none of them. It's a blackamoor, a Moor. Also, and we know the term Moor is a catch term. And the ones that came from Europe as Moors was called Maori, Mauri, Maori. And it was a derogatory term, the same as nigga. But we want to have ethnic pride in some shit that don't got nothing to do with us. And so when they church doctrine, we became more Christian than they priests and preachers. We upheld their doctrines better than any of them ever did. And they can't understand how these motherfuckers live by that shit, because we wrote that shit and we can't keep up. It's the morals versus the dogma dynamic. A morally upright people gonna always try to maximize the moral compass. So moralism became a weaponized tool of war. That's why Bobby Hemming kept saying, fuck that moralism shit. All this moral this and moral that. The morality. It's a difference in immorality and inhumanity, right? If it's immoral, it's just something that outside of your tribal dynamic. But if it's inhumane, that means it's something that the human species should not be doing, like bloodletting rituals on children. Like, we shouldn't be doing that. Sacrificing children with sabers, with the dagger, spilling their blood, slicing into their liver while they living, so that they can maximize the output of adrenalized blood, because the biggest filter in the body is the liver. And if the liver is not filtering this shit out, because it's a hole in it, it's all flesh into the liver, but the hole gonna allow it to seep out the liver. So we got all this stuff going on, and we stuck between a compass of morality that's predicated up on inhumanity, and then they gave us legislated moral structure in a law system. So as long as we following a legislated morality, we don't even know what the laws of nature says is moral, because we following the mandates, dictates, ideologies of men. All of this stuff that we see around us is a carefully crafted construct of psychopathic racial personalities, but they ain't pale. That's what y'all not understanding. This is the hardest thing for me to digest and to reiterate, is that they look like us, but they ain't us. And that shit hurt my feelings so bad that I didn't never want to tell y'all what was going on, because if anybody's feelings is hurt as bad as mine was, then the whole dynamic would be more damaging to the psyche. But the truth got to be told. We leave out of the Piscean age, where everybody head underwater. So everything we seeing is slightly off center. And if you look from, they got diagrams, you can pull them up on Google with no problem. The vision adjustment from underwater to the surface. There's a particular fish. They call him a spitting fish. The spitting fish is under the water, but he has adjusted his vision where he can shoot a spittle of water and knock a bug off a branch, that he's not supposed to be able to do that because of the offset of the vision. But for some reason, this spitting fish has allowed his brain to adjust for the differences in the underwater viewing of what's not underwater, so he can see it clearly enough to target in, bead, and shoot that motherfucker with a ball of spit. It's the same principle coming from underwater in our thinking, where we were being drowned with misinformation, misdirection, and all these David Copperfield type tricks. They told us that it was all fiction. They called it a legal fiction. We didn't know what the fuck they was talking about, because how can it be legal and fiction? That means that it's false, but it's legal. That means if you following the law, you following something that is misleading. The law that they set up is not the laws of nature. And if we don't go back to the laws of nature and living in harmony with the earth and the other beings on the earth, I don't give a fuck what your skin look like. I don't give a fuck what your hair texture is. You will not be here carrying the old paradigm's waste product into the new earth. It's going to be incompatible. So there's nothing wrong with people having self-love, pride in themselves, but to develop the superiority complex. This is exactly how we got in this shit. I keep telling y'all, mama said the good had to suffer with the bad. That means the ones who didn't do the dirt, they look just like the ones doing the dirt, but they ain't the same. And so, and both of them got to suffer, because the ones who didn't do the dirt is going to be the ones able to follow the compass in the hero's journey to ascend to the mountaintop and be the goat on top of the hill, looking out over the rest of the mountains. And the mountains mean governments. And it's 12 governments of the earth. The 12 governments of the earth is 12 matriarchal orders. And these 12 matriarchal orders fall under what we call the daughters of Isis. And Isis is the 13th seat, meaning that it's the grand matriarch's seat that governs over the daughters, the 12 daughters. So what Big Mama do sitting in the 13th seat is she wait for one of the 12 to say, hey, Big Mama, I got a problem. Who do we have that solves this kind of problem? So then Big Mama will sit there for a minute and say, okay, baby, I'm gonna send you Malachi York, because you need somebody to specialize in breaking the code of the oppression. And then I'm gonna send you Elijah Muhammad, because you need somebody that's gonna follow the culture no matter what religion he is, and he gonna teach it to his adherents. So when we looking at all these different people over the years that tried to change the condition and was unsuccessful, it wasn't that they was totally unsuccessful. It was that they did their part. You ain't gonna never overcome an obstacle until you realize you got to take the first step. Once you take the first step, you activate the process. Once you activate the process, then you fall into the barrier of time. The size and magnitude of the change determines how long or how much time it takes to turn all of that shit around and make shit run the way it's supposed to run. So the critical dynamic in seeing what's going on now is not only have we took the first step, we at the finish line, tiptoeing across that motherfucker in everybody's face, and they keep acting like we not even in the race. We at the finish line, right? So we looking for the exit. The exit is clouded in the cloud of smoke, but it's here. Can't quite put my finger on it, but it's somewhere around here, right? Which takes me to this. My pops passed 11 months after my mom. My pops passed on my little brother's birthday, October 27th. It's also a couple of my niece's birthdays, cousins. But my mama passed the year prior on my baby sister's birthday, which is November the 7th. My father's funeral, I think, was around the 3rd or the 5th of November, but my mama's funeral landed on my oldest brother's birthday. So in the middle of all this, my birthday fall. Now, my mom and pop's been gone 4 and 5 years, respectively. This year, at the end, I know there's something I need to find. This grief returned on a whole nother level. So what I do, being the Scorpio I am, I try to keep the appearance of business as usual. And I deal with my conflicts, my grief, whatever it is I'm dealing with, right? And while I'm dealing with it, onlookers think it's business as usual with me. It's definitely not. Not even close. This one was hardest because there's something here that we missing. It's close. I don't know if it's close as in geographically close. I don't know if it's close as in time-wise close. And I don't even know if it's close as in affectionately close. I gotta find it. I'm looking, and I ain't finding shit. There gotta be a trigger to set into motion the grand finale. That thing which closes all of this shit out and make them bring all that secret squirrel shit to the open. While I'm looking for that, I can't stop grief, because grief gonna grieve when it grieve. You gonna feel that shit when you feel that shit, however it come. My goal is to not to abuse and misuse somebody while I'm going through a struggle. Because the worst thing that you can do is be going through a struggle internally, nobody else don't know it, and then you take it out on that person. And then when you recover or come out of the state of grief, right? Now you done said or done something to somebody you really genuinely care about, that's genuinely there for you. But now you done fucked up to the point where apology can't fix this shit. That's why my first order of business when I'm dealing with internal self-crisis is isolation. And what our problem is, a lot of us, men and women, be mad at somebody else and take that shit out on the motherfucker we care about. We do that shit, and because we care about them, we felt, well, that's cool, they forgive me. You can't do that. It's not fair to the person you care about, and it ain't fair to yourself, because you're going to need the person you care about on a different level, right? When you recover, they ain't there because you done took out all of your anger with everybody else on your comfort. You can't beat your comfort like the enemy. You can't abuse the people you care about like they're the enemy. And we do this so easy. That's why I'm like fucked up, because they act like we just start having relationships like in the 50s or something. Like this is some new shit to us. Men and women have never dated in the history of the world into the 50s. Now we got to figure out how to have a relationship. But my research, my observation tell me is we making this shit hard because we being selfish, entitled, and self-centered, right? We making this shit hard. Relationships not supposed to be a struggle. The relationship is supposed to be the partner that you bear arms with to fight the struggle. You're not supposed to be in the struggle with the person you fighting life with. And we tend